Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to take complex operational challenges, sift through the details, or really pull out the key insights you need to move forward fast. Today, we're digging into something absolutely vital for therapy practices: provider credentialing and payer enrollment. Now, this might sound dry, but for anyone running a PT, OT, or SLP clinic, this process, it's the bedrock. It dictates whether you actually get paid for the care you provide. We've looked at some source material that outlines 5 pretty clear red flag signs that your clinic's in-house system isn't just inefficient, but maybe actively failing you, draining resources, hurting staff, and suppressing revenue.
And that's really the core issue for you, the listener. Understanding these signs is crucial. Credentialing isn't just admin paperwork. Its efficiency, or lack thereof, directly hits your cash flow, your ability to see patients quickly, especially if you're thinking about growing, like hiring a new therapist. If this foundation is shaky, well, you could end up choking off that growth before it even starts.
Okay, let's unpack this then. If credentialing is causing so many downstream problems, what are the very first signs? The kind of stuff you'd see day to day, especially with the staff handling it.
Yeah, that brings us straight to sign number 1. Staff overload and burnout. It's so common. Clinics, especially smaller or specialized ones, they often just tack credentialing onto the duties of existing admin staff. You know, the same people probably handling scheduling, maybe some billing, patient intake. They're already juggling a lot.
Right. It seems like the easiest path, maybe the cheapest up front. Just add it to someone's plate instead of hiring a dedicated person. But what's the real cost there?
The real cost is burnout and, crucially, accuracy. We saw one source mention, and this is pretty stark, that therapists are often burnt out when trying to get credentialed on their own. Think about that. It's not even just the admin staff. The burden is hitting clinicians too. When your team is stretched thin, trying to manage patient calls and complex forms like, say, a Medicare application for a new PT, mistakes happen. Deadlines get missed. It just creates this cycle that's really, really tough to sustain.
Which flows perfectly into sign number 2, constant errors and delays. So the symptom here is pretty straightforward, right? You send in the paperwork and it just keeps bouncing back.
Exactly. Returned applications are a huge red flag. It signals a breakdown somewhere in your internal process, your quality control, and the root cause. Almost always, it's reliance on manual processes, filling things out by hand, using maybe slightly outdated forms. It's just inherently error-prone, especially when people were rushed.
Oh yeah. Any examples that stand out?
We heard about one clinic. Oh man, they had a whole batch of applications, maybe 50 kicked back. Why? Because a single address line had been updated on a state website, quietly, and their team was still using an old saved version of the form.
Ouch. That must delay things by weeks, easily.
Weeks, absolutely. And all that time spent fixing simple stuff. A missing signature, an expired attachment, that wrong address, that's time the provider isn't fully credentialed, they can't bill certain payers. That's why the sources really push for a high-tech solution that minimizes the errors and omissions often caused by antiquated manual processes. Accuracy up front saves so much time and hassle later. It gets that provider generating revenue faster.
Okay, so we've got the daily grind, the staff burnout, the immediate errors. But credentialing isn't just a one-and-done thing, is it? Which brings us to sign number 3, compliance and renewal risks.
No, definitely not. It's an ongoing responsibility, and the risk management piece is significant. You're constantly tracking things like therapist state licenses, their clinical certifications, very important, and their CAQH profiles.
Okay, hold on. Let's pause there. CAQH. For listeners who aren't deep in the admin weeds, what exactly is that?
Good point. CAQH is the Council for Affordable Quality Healthcare. Essentially, it's like a central online database, a standardized application that lots of commercial insurance companies use. Instead of filling out 20 different applications with the same info, you update your CAQH profile, and those insurers pull the data from there. Keeping it current is absolutely vital.
Why vital? What happens if it lapses?
Well, if that CAQH profile isn't updated regularly, they call it attestation. Any payer using it basically considers the provider's information expired. That can halt claims processing across multiple insurance plans all at once. Big headache.
Got it. So keeping licenses, certifications, CAQH, all that foundational stuff current is key. What are the actual consequences if a deadline slips?
They can be severe. If your team misses a license renewal or doesn't update something critical, you could face hefty fines from payers. Or worse, the provider could be suspended from the network entirely. And there's another layer to continuous monitoring of databases like OIG and SAM.
Right. OIG and SAM. Crucial acronyms. Break those down for us. What are they, and why is monitoring them so important?
Sure. OIG is the Office of Inspector General, and SAM is the System for Award Management. These are federal databases that list healthcare providers who've been excluded from participating in programs like Medicare or Medicaid, usually due to fraud or other compliance issues. You got to check these regularly, because if you unknowingly employ or bill for services from an excluded provider, even for a short time, all those payments have to be returned. It's a massive compliance and financial risk.
So outsourcing that monitoring basically transfers that risk. That's a big deal.
Huge. It takes a major potential liability off the clinic's plate.
Okay, that makes sense. Now let's talk about sign number 4, which I find fascinating because it's almost paradoxical. Practice growth outpaces resources. You'd think hiring more therapists, say you bring on 3 great new SLPs, it's purely positive, right? Growth. But you're saying that can actually create a huge administrative problem.
Yeah,
How?
yeah, it's counterintuitive, but it's a classic bottleneck.
Yeah.
Because you're not just filing one application for those 3 new therapists, you're filing dozens.
Yeah.
Each provider, PT, OT, SLP, needs to get credentialed with Medicare, probably state Medicaid, and then maybe 10, 15, even 20 different commercial payers. Blue Cross, Cigna, Aetna, United Healthcare.
Wow.
Right. So 3 new hires suddenly means your one admin person might be facing like 30, 40, 50 new applications all at once. Your capacity to see patients scales up. But if your capacity to handle the paperwork doesn't keep pace.
You can't actually bill for those new patients, or at least not from all their insurers. You negate the benefit.
Exactly. You've got providers potentially working, but you can't get paid properly. This is why, larger health systems often bring in outsourced credentialing specifically during these growth spurts. They use it as an adjunct to current staff just to handle the volume surge. And there's another angle too. Resilience. What happens if the one person in your clinic who really knows credentialing quits or goes on extended leave?
Uh-oh. Everything grinds to a halt.
Precisely. Outsourcing provides that instant backstop. The process keeps moving, enrollment doesn't stall, and you avoid those really costly delays just because of staffing changes.
Okay, we've covered the stress, the errors, the compliance nightmares, the growth bottlenecks. Let's get to the one that probably hits home the hardest. Sign number 5, lost revenue and payer access. This connects the admin pain directly to the dollars and cents.
Yeah, this is often the most tangible, the most painful red flag. When your providers are seeing patients, but they aren't fully credentialed with all the necessary insurance plans, yet they don't have full panel access, the clinic often can't legally bill the insurer for those services. It means you're literally leaving money on the table. It's work performed, care delivered, but it's uncollectible from the payer. And multiple reports confirm this direct link. Inefficient credentialing directly impacts an organization's revenue, period.
And we're not talking small amounts. The studies suggest these delays can cost thousands of dollars per month. That's per provider.
Yeah, right. Per provider, yes. So if you have 2 or 3 providers waiting to get fully paneled with key payers, that lost revenue adds up incredibly fast.
Okay, so when you frame it like that, thousands lost each month, the cost of maybe outsourcing this starts to look different. Less like an expense, more like stopping the bleeding, maybe even an investment. But I have to push back a bit here. Some data suggests outsourcing can save practices like up to 20–80% compared to doing it in-house. 80% seems huge. Is that realistic? Where does that kind of saving come from? Is it just cheaper labor?
That's a fair question. And no, it's not just about the hourly wage. That 80% figure, while maybe on the high end and depends on the clinic's situation, reflects the total cost of an inefficient internal system. Think about what you're saving. 1, you're saving expensive staff time. Your office manager or senior admin might be overqualified and highly paid for what can sometimes be repetitive data entry or follow-up calls. 2, you save the cost of corrections, all that time spent fixing errors, resubmitting applications. 3, and this is the big one, you avoid that lost revenue from delays we just talked about. And 4, you mitigate the risk of those really costly compliance penalties or network suspensions. When you add all that up, the direct time, the correction time, the lost income, the risk avoidance, the math starts to make a lot more sense. Honestly, avoiding just one provider being delayed for a month or avoiding one major payer suspension, that alone could easily pay for the outsourcing service fee for quite a while.
Okay, that breakdown helps clarify the true cost comparison. So zooming out a bit, what does getting credentialing right mean for the entire revenue cycle beyond just getting that initial payment faster?
It has a really powerful dual benefit operationally. First, yes,
Yeah.
obviously fast, accurate credentialing gets your PTs, OTs, SLPs into those payer networks quickly so you get timely reimbursement. That's foundational. But second, and this is often overlooked, it fundamentally frees up your internal billing team. If they're not constantly getting dragged into credentialing fires, chasing down documents, fixing applications,
Hmm.
they can actually focus on the higher value revenue cycle tasks, things like working age claims, appealing complex denials, improving overall collections. Those are the activities that really boost the clinic's financial health long term.
This has been really insightful. We've basically charted the course of how credentialing issues can ripple outwards, starting with staff burnout and those constant errors,
Yeah.
then moving to the serious compliance risks, the weird bottleneck that growth can create, and finally landing squarely on lost revenue.
Mm.
Those 5 red flags really do paint a clear picture of when a system needs help.
Exactly. And for listeners wondering what kind of help is out there, comprehensive solutions are designed to manage that whole life cycle. We're talking about handling all the applications, Medicare, Medicaid, the commercial ones, keeping those CAQH profiles meticulously updated, managing NPI registrations, doing that crucial OIG-SAM monitoring we discussed, and ensuring the group-level credentialing is also correct so billing flows smoothly. It essentially replaces a fragile manual process with something robust and reliable.
So for the clinic operator or the practice manager listening right now, what's the simplest signal? When do you know it's time to seriously consider outsourcing?
I think the clearest signal is when you feel like managing enrollments is constantly pulling focus, time, and energy away from what should be the priorities: patient care and strategic growth. If your staff seems always so busy that other duties are faltering, as one source put it, that's your cue. That administrative friction is costing you more than you think.
All right. That leads perfectly into our final thought for you, the listener, to kind of chew on.
Yeah, if something like inefficient credentialing, which seems like just administrative background noise for a therapy clinic, can secretly cost thousands of dollars every month, what other seemingly small, repetitive, maybe annoying administrative tasks in your specific field or business might actually be the most expensive? Hidden drains on your time, your resources, and maybe even your team's morale. Look for where the friction and the burnout are highest. That's often where the biggest hidden costs lie.